Hey everybody, good morning, it's David here and welcome to Digital Doxology. Today I'm going to do a tutorial using my Fantom, Roland Fantom O model. What I'm going to show you today on the Roland Fantom O is how to set it up for a live performance as like a one-man band. Let's say you want to use this for worship, or let's say you want to use this as a one-man band setup like what I want to do. So you want to set it up to use your Roland Fantom as a accompaniment. If you're doing a one-man gig by yourself, or if you're using it for worship and you're going to use the keyboard as your main source of sound. Setting up your Roland Fantom O as a live performance setup. Here goes. Hey everybody, it's Dave here again. And before I get started, if you like this video, please hit the like button. And also please subscribe so you'll be able to get more videos when I put them out in the future. And don't forget to ring that little bell. That way you'll be notified when the videos come out. There are a lot of videos on my channel that are just music and stuff that I've created, but I also once in a while I put out tutorials on different things. So stay tuned for those. So let's get to it using the Roland Fantom 6 or 7 or 8, in this case it's the O series, using it for a live gig or worship, or in this case I want to use it for live gigs. If maybe I might want to do worship, or I might want to do a live gig by myself. And so there's a couple of settings in here that you might not know about, and I'll go through them real quick with you right now. One of the first things, a lot of these things that you're going to want to do that I'm going to show you are going to be in the menu. So let me show you, go to the menu. And actually, let me go back first. Now, I created a special scene here in the C block, in the C bank. And if I go over to C, there we go. I created a special scene area here for worship. And you notice the first scene C049, it says chapel pad. Actually, what I did is I copied one of the pads from the A bank, go back to the A bank, and I copied one of these pads in here, Ember Glance. So I took this particular scene and I just changed the name of it to Chapel Pad and copied it over into the C bank, C49, and call it Chapel Pad. Because I know sometimes when you're doing worship, you want some music in the background. Maybe when they're doing offerings and things, you want something in the back. And you want some music just in the background before you start playing. And that's kind of a nice pad. Now, let's say you want to start with a pad, and if you're in live worship, you might want to play some soft pad in the background, and then you want to go right into a song. And let's say I'm doing the pad. Here, I'm doing the pad. And I want to go into my first song. Did you hear what just happened? Ah, that's not good. You want to go from your pad to your song without interrupting the pad, right? But there's a way to do that. They call that scene remain. And let me show you how to set this up in just a second. I'll show you, it's in the menu. But before you start doing all this stuff that I'm going to show you, you want to set up your scenes so that it's friendly for your songs. I created one pad here, or one scene, that I just called worship. And for that matter, I could call it anything. I could call it pop music or country, stuff like that. And I created a scene that is all set up with the sounds that I like. So zone 1 has the pop piano. And I just went through and selected a piano that I like. Zone 2 has a Rhodes electric piano. So you got a nice little Rhodes piano, and that's sometimes you want to have that maybe for certain songs. Track 3 or zone 3, I keep calling these tracks, but they're zones. I'm used to calling them tracks, but zone 3 is electric bass, the compressor, bland fingered bass. Okay, so I just selected a bass I like, and then I picked a string pad or for channel 4 or zone 4. And maybe you want to play a song during a certain time in the service and you want a string sound. Or in a song you program, you might want to have strings in the song. Then I also included an organ with the okay, so I like that. That's the electric organ, rotary organ number 2, and I start it with 2 stars. If you like a particular sound that you hear, go in, give it a rating, 2 stars, hit OK, and then it'll have those stars next to it when you look in there. You can also find those later on by using those stars. So give it a rating. Okay, so that was my check zone 5. Zone 6, I put an angel choir pad. Nice little pad. Put a flute. And of course, one of the things about some of these sounds, you can only play one voice at a time. That particular voice right there is a solo instrument. If I try to play it in parts, it won't play in 2 parts. So on track 8, I put my drums. All my drum sounds. Because if you set your keyboard up with scene remain, then you're not going to be able to access the other 8 channels. Channel 9 through 16, zone 9 through 16 will be blacked out if you use scene remain. Let me show you what that is. Go into your menu, go to System, and let me show you a couple of things. There's a couple of things in the menu here that you can set up that are really handy. Go to where it says Scene Remain. Now you're going to go to the General menu, scroll down with your second knob here, and go down to where it says Scene Remain. You can turn this on, and then hit right. Now watch what happens in just a second. Now that I go into my scene and I go into worship and hit patterns, look what happens. These tracks are now, you can't use them. They're isolated. These tracks, you can only use tracks 1 through 8. This is one of the caveats that Ed Diaz said on the website. And I was like, what is he talking about? Well, when I did it, I figured it out. You could still use tracks or zones 1 through 8, but you can't use zones 9 through 16. It has something to do with the Fantom O series doesn't have enough sound capability to do all the channels, all 16 channels or zones. If you buy the Roland Fantom, the 2019 series, or the Fantom Max, I call it, it's the full scale Fantom. Or in my case, I actually give this one a nickname. This is the Fantom 22 or the F22. I just kind of have this little, I think it's funny. The Fantom, the newest one I call Fantom 22 because it's the 2022 model. And the other one is the Fantom 19 or the F19 model. So the F19 model, you can use all 16 channels, all 16 zones. The F22 model, you can only use 1 through 8. Has something to do with the internal workings of this particular keyboard. But that aside, it still has a lot of potential. So let's go into our scene. Now let me show you what's kind of nice. If I want to start with a pad, I'm starting with chapel pad. I'm just playing it in the background. But if I'm playing the pad and I want to go right into my song, I'm going to hold down the pad, tap on my song, and the pad stays. Now I'm going to play my song. The song is "Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord." Stop. Now I had to actually go in and create my own drum beat. Actually, I think all three of them are the same. I just copied and pasted them so I could do another chorus here. Because in that particular song, when you do it the last time, you do an extended chorus, and then I'll put an ending for the D pattern right here. So eventually I'll have intro. I'm going to have intro, verse, or chorus. I'm sorry, intro and verse. And then the chorus is B. Extended chorus will be letter C, and then the ending will be letter D. That's how I'm going to eventually set it up. So if you were using this for worship and you wanted to lead worship by yourself with this keyboard, you could do that by setting up your song just like I showed you a second ago. Let me go back into the patterns. So I'm going to go into Scene, Patterns, and I have my instruments here. So there's my piano and my electric piano, my bass, my strings, my organ, if I want to play an organ, and synth pad with the breath of, and then I also at the have another pad or a flute sound. All right, which is nice. Sometimes you want to have a flute in a song. Maybe take a lead on something. And then finally, the last sound will be my drums. Because I can't use tracks or zones 9, 10, and 11. Normally your drums will be on zone 10. And I hope this makes sense. So if you're going to use scene remain, then you want to make sure you put your drums on channel 8. The bad thing about doing it this way is you can't use the drum patterns. You have to program all the drum sounds yourself, which to me is no big deal because most of the songs I do anyway, I program my own drum tracks. So that's just a little tip if you want to use this for live performance. Set it up so that you can have that scene remain. Because sometimes it's nice when you're playing in a service or a live setting where you want to start off with a pad, and then while you're holding the pad down, then you want to switch to the song and be ready for the song and hit play. Like that. See, I went right in from the pad to the song with no interruptions of sound. And then of course I like to set up my template so that I'm all ready when I want to program a new song. I have all my tracks ready. And you just copy that. Let me go back to the scene. Copy this scene to the other scenes. All you have to do to copy this particular scene is go to Write, Scene, then right here you scroll to C52 and then hit OK. Now watch, I've got another template. I can keep doing this for the other scenes. Watch, it's that easy. Scene, then C52, and OK. Now I have 1, 2, 3 templates all set up ahead of time. I could just start writing songs in here and programming songs for a whole worship set. And then put pads in wherever you want. If you want to switch between a song and go to the next song, you can hit the next song and be ready without changing any of the sounds. That's why the scene remain is nice. Now, one other little tip that I've discovered, kind of by accident, is kind of nice to go into your system menu, hit menu and system, and then scroll down and look at the bottom here where it says startup. Startup scene. If you're playing a live gig, maybe you're a one-man band and you want to set your keyboard up so that it will start with your first track. I'm going to go to D because that's where I put my one-man band stuff right in there. Okay, there we go. D1 is my first song. If I want to go play a job by myself and I want to set up my keyboard, a little amplifier, mic stand, and guitar, and I can do a playing job by myself, like for a party or a club somewhere, and I want to just set up for an hour and do a little job by myself, a playing job. Because it's not always easy to find a drummer, bass player, guitar player, and so on to do jobs. And sometimes it's nice just to be able to set up and do a one-man job. And so I want my keyboard to start right there. Let me put that one as my first startup scene and then hit right. But wait a minute, I don't want this on there either, because I have songs programmed with channels 9 through 16. So I'm going to hit off and then save. I'm hitting the right button over there. Now let me turn my keyboard off and watch what happens when I turn it back on. It should come right up to that very first song that I want to play, that very first scene. It'll load right up on my keyboard. So it's going through your normal startup, and then pretty soon it'll come up on the home page. My home page will now have Margaritaville for D1. Did you see what I just did? This is so cool, so nice, because when you load this up, sometimes you don't want to mess with home screens, right? You don't want to be on the home screen, which is normally A, and it says homecoming. You want your keyboard to be on the D screen or a different scene right there. Now I'm all ready to play Margaritaville. Okay, and I've got my song programmed. So I have my intro. I even included some vibes right there, so I changed one channel to vibes. Because you gotta have vibes with Margaritaville, right? It's cool, so cool. And of course, all my drum tracks are on channel 10 or zone 10. So that's why I had to take it off scene remain. I can't use scene remain with this particular arrangement. However, I could copy this drum pattern right here, and I could move it over to channel 8. I don't know what's on channel. No, it's a piano, but I can always change that. Or 6. I think 6 might be... Let me scoot over to 6 there for a second. Yeah. My drums are on channel 6 or zone 6. So there's my drum standard kit. And go back. So drums on channel 6. Drums are also on channel 10 or zone 10. So if I wanted to use scene remain, I'd have to move the drum tracks over to zone 6. I hope that makes sense, because if I use scene remain, it would black out 9 through 16. But that's no biggie, because it's easy to go in there and change that setting. So just a little tip for you if you're using this for live settings, for live gigs, whether it's worship or playing pop music, country music, stuff like that. You want to do it by yourself. You want to have everything set up so you're ready to start. And just for fun, I'll play a little bit of this. I did the intro is track is the section A. This is the verse. And you say, well, that's a little bit slow, Dave. I want to speed it up. No problem. Hit the tempo button. Let's pick up the pace a little bit. Close, and now it'll be a little faster. The only thing about the Roland I haven't discovered yet, and if you are out there and you're watching this and you know how to do this, please put a comment in and let us know, because there may be a way to do it and there may not be. And that's to change the whole key of this song. So let's say I did this song in D. Let me go back to the piano. This song is, I have it recorded in key of D. Right, that's key of D. But what if I wanted to do it in E? Right, what if I wanted to do it in C? Right, so can I change this arrangement to put it in a different key? That's something I haven't discovered yet. There may be a way to go in here and do it that I haven't found out yet. And I'm certainly going to play around with it right now, maybe a little bit. But yeah, interesting. I'm looking to see if there's a setting in here where I can change this whole intro. Each of these sections, what if I wanted to change that key? That would be good to know. So there may be a way to go into your menu and system. I don't know, I'm going to have to fiddle around with this because I know there's some settings in here. Sometimes I find things out by accident that it will do, like the pedals. The other day I was messing around with the pedals and I found out that I can assign different functions for each of the pedals on the back of your keyboard. You have 3 different pedal inputs. If I'm playing a song and I can stop the keyboard without even, here's my hands, I can start it and I can stop it with my foot pedal that I have down here. I also have another foot pedal that I have for sustain. See, there's, I release the pedal. So I have 2 pedals plugged into my Roland. I have one sustain pedal, and then I have another foot switch that I plugged in. I bought for like 15 bucks on Amazon, and I'm going to use that to start and stop my tracks. So let me go back to my scenes. So I have all these songs plugged in here. Some of these are, oh, this is the new one I just did the other day. By Creedence Clearwater, Have You Ever Seen the Rain? So there's my intro, which is 6 bars. And then I set the verse, 16 bars. My chorus is 12 bars. And my outro or my ending is 6 bars. So everything's set. So intro, verse, chorus, and out or ending. So this is the way that I set it up as a song. And there was something about that song. Let me go back into pattern. I had to create my own drum track for this song. I made it real simple. That's the basic drum track. They had no drum track on there that was even close to that. And I tried a couple of the pre-programmed ones. I just gave up. And then I did vary it a little bit for... This is the verse, and then I varied it on the chorus. Listen to the variation. You'll hear it. I got the little ride cymbal in there. And then I also doubled up on the snare drum, so it gives it like almost like a phase shifter effect. Listen to the snare drum on the second bar. Here. Do you hear that? I think that's so cool. It's if you hit the snare drum at just a slightly different beat, then it gives it that phase shifted effect if you double up on the snare drum sound. And I just played around with that by accident. I also added the ride cymbal in there. So what I want to do eventually is go in. Oh, I had to, there it is. I had to make up my drum track for the ending because the ending's a little different. So I had to make up my own drum track for the last part. Because it's going to end right about here. Hear that? And then I let it go for another measure too. So I made an ending that has a shorter drum track. Here's the ending. Stop. So when I play this live, it'll end right there at the end of track bar 6 on the song. So to do that, I had to make my own custom drum track right there. It's not as perfect as I would like it. I may go back and modify that just a little bit. because it doesn't quite sync up everywhere. So that's one of those things that kind of get used to. The pattern sequencing to me is a new thing. I'm used to Korg Chronos and Korg Tritons, and everything in a Triton and a Chronos is all step sequencing. It's not pattern sequencing. So I can actually record a whole song from start to finish without having to stop and do it by patterns. So this is something kind of new to me. And some of you may be in that same spot as I am. But once you do it and get used to it, it's no big thing. It's just getting used to something that's a little different. That's all good, right? That's what they say, all good. So I hope this helps you with something. If you're struggling with getting ideas on how to set this up for live gigs, one of the things, of course, is that scene remain. That can be very handy. Go into your general menu and go down to the bottom and set up your scene remain and turn it on if you want to turn it on. If you want your startup scene to be different, go in and change it in the menu. So there's a lot of stuff in it, and if you get something just like you want it, hit right, and then it's all saved. So this is Dave from Digital Doxology saying, hey, I hope you have a good day. Hope you found this video helpful and give you some ideas on using this for either live worship or live one-man band gigs that you might have plans to do with. That's my plan. So this is Dave saying have a great day. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Ring that little bell. Have a great day. Take it easy. Have fun playing around on your Roland Fantom O.